one of the only reviews you won't see me drinking in because I'm filming this at noon on a Monday. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and my ongoing quest to review every single movie Robin Williams has ever appeared in. Before we get started, please like this video, please subscribe to my channel if you have not done that already. I'm in much better spirits today because we are looking at the Chef's Kiss icon, one of the crown jewels, 1989's Dead Poets Society, directed by Peter Weir, also starring baby Ethan Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, and Kurtwood motherfucking Smith from that 70s show, who I'm sure probably one of the best angry dad actors in the world, and I just can't take that man seriously in anything. This film stars Robin Williams as John Keating, an unorthodox English professor at a boys' prep school who teaches his students to seize the day and make their lives extraordinary. This is my second guest episode in the series. You will see her in just a little bit. Fun fact, Nashville friends, this movie is based off Montgomery Bell Academy. The screenwriter wrote this about his time there. This is a movie that I'm sure you've all heard of, so let's just get right into the background history fun fact section because there is quite a lot to talk about here. So in Robin's personal life, before he got the script for this movie, he was in a production of Waiting for Godot with Steve Martin. Kind of had mixed reviews, but me personally, I would give anything to have seen that show, man. Around this time, Robin was also locked in a lawsuit with a former fling, Michelle Tish Carter. She was a waitress that I believe he had like a little affair with when he was married to his first wife, Valerie. She said that he gave her herpes and was suing him. So that was all going around, and he was like, yikes, I need something good to happen. And then the script for Dead Poets Society came around. The script was bouncing around for a while. It hadn't really found like a good producer, a good team to take it. So Robin wouldn't commit. One of the producers said he wouldn't say no, but he wouldn't say yes. Robin actually asked Dana Carvey if he should take the part, and Dana Carvey was like, I don't know, maybe wait a little bit. Jeffrey Katzenberg was still with Disney at the time. He obtained the script. They got Peter Weir signed on to direct. Then Robin took it. He said it reminded him of teachers he had. It also gave him the opportunity to be the teacher everyone wanted to have. Also, the script has a character named Neil who wants to be an actor, but his dad, Kurtwood Smith, is like, no. And that kind of reflected Robin's struggles with his own father, who wanted him to pursue a different path in life. After Peter Weir signed on to direct the movie, Dustin Hoffman actually comes back into the picture. Welcome back, Dustin. We have missed you here on my channel. This is the first time that Dustin Hoffman has actively wanted the role, though. With Popeye and Garp, he was kind of like, no. Dustin Hoffman did actually want to play John Keating, but only if he also got to direct the movie, which they were like, we don't know because we do already have a director signed on. Luckily, though, Dustin Hoffman ended up having to pass on the part because he signed on to do Rain Man. Crazy. Peter Weir was worried about working with Robin and was wondering how he was going to be able to contain his improvisation. The producer on Good Morning Vietnam gave Peter Weir this advice about working with Robin, which is, this is so beautiful. He said, the first thing you do is shoot the script word for word, then you let the shackles off and you let him go do it, and you craft from the material you never saw but he found, and the stuff you may have known was there, but that he raised to a level you never imagined. I do not want to cry at noon on a Monday! If you haven't seen the movie, if you can tell, it's very much more of a drama. Robin is giving a lot of big, sweeping monologues and speeches, so there really wasn't a lot of room for him to ad-lib. For the most part, they kind of just let him have a day where he could just kind of play on set, let it all out, and they didn't really use the footage, but they noticed that it helped him kind of loosen up and get into the part more. On set, Robin would like to break away and entertain the crowd during breaks if there was large groups of extras or people hanging around. The director's assistant said that behind the scenes he was very quiet and generous. I remember he said to me, I'm just here to introduce the world to these boys, which is, Robin. Towards the end of the process, Disney decided that they did not want the title to be Dead Poets Society. They were like, we don't want dead in the marketing. Poets Society is boring. They had a couple of other titles that were like The Incredible Mr. Keating. They were like very like Disney bullshit titles. And Robin and the director and a couple of other producers sat down with Disney and were like, no, 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 we will not be changing this title today, mommy. To help me review the actual movie, I will be bringing on an extra special guest. My special guest today is my friend Meredith Neilson that I went to college with. We were both English majors, so this is a perfect movie for us.
Yes, English/theater majors.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were
I was a theater major for like
a hot second. A semester, yeah.
A year.
Oh, whoops. Well, on the whole, I I really, really liked it.
I think it is very much, it's a good sort of coming of age story.
Yeah.
Like, I like that it had sort of an ensemble cast of the boys at the school. It gives, Becca and I were texting about it while we watched it. It did have some Harry Potter vibes.
There's one scene with such heavy Harry Potter vibes.
Part of their uniform is a coat given by the school, and it looks like a robe. And they had red hoods. I was like,
yes. They were sneaking out. They were like feeding a dog so it wouldn't bark. And then somebody comes out with a flashlight and they're running through a forest. And I was like, okay, this is the second movie after Good Morning Vietnam that kind of follows the Robin Williams formula of him being a person who is unorthodox and does things in an unorthodox way. And he starts influencing a lot of people. But the big bad establishment is like, we don't like that. So he gets fired. And there's also a romance that kind of doesn't work. In this movie, it's not a Robin Williams romance, but there is one. Well, I don't know. Elements of the romance worked for me, but not all of it.
I can agree with that too. I think Knox had good intentions.
Yeah.
But I feel like, especially nowadays, I feel like some of our texting last night was also comparing, like, if this movie was made today.
Yes.
Like, he would have been seen as, like, very aggressive. He just, like, kept pursuing her.
Yeah.
She'd made a point and was like, no. But I also just think Knox is kind of a sweetheart. So
he is. And like the only move he ultimately makes on her is like kissing her on the forehead, which is fine. Like at least he didn't like full on just grab her.
We were like, drunk Knox, no.
I know, I was worried. Also, if this movie came out today and if you've seen it, Neil and Todd would have absolutely kissed after he finished throwing the desk set around. Like the energy was there.
As soon as you told me you were gonna bring me on for Dead Poet Society episode, I was like, I can't wait to tell her that there are Neil and Todd TikToks.
And I hate to agree with the TikTokers, but I really feel it. Up until like the last half hour though, I was still having a hard time like figuring out who was what boy.
It is hard, and it's hard because Mr. Keating, Robin Williams' character, he goes back and forth in them their first name and their last name. And so it's hard to keep it straight because you're trying to remember two names. So
I also got the vibe where like a lot of ensemble cast movies do this where like right at the beginning they're like, I'm so and so and this is my one trait that you're gonna know me by the whole time. Like yes. I'm Charlie Dalton and I'm an asshole.
It's true.
It's like basically
yeah.
More towards the end, like there were 4 or 5 of them that were more fleshed out than their one trait, but I think there was a couple of them that like just kind of stayed with their one thing that they had.
I do think Charlie's an asshole, but he also like he obviously loved Todd.
Oh yeah.
He loved Neil a lot.
Yeah.
And was a really good friend. He just had those asshole tendencies and was selfish at some points, like when he brought the girls to the cave. And
disgusting.
That scene is so uncomfy because like all the other boys are like, what?
Robin is fantastic in this.
His one-on-one with Neil in his office.
God.
So good.
So good. I said this in my Good Morning Vietnam review as well. And because these movies are like, they both kind of follow the formula, I'm probably going to be saying a lot of the same stuff. But I love to watch other people watch him. Like when there's scenes that he's teaching and like the scene where he's talking about Shakespeare and doing like the Marlon Brando and the John Wayne impersonations. That's one of his only improvisations that they like let in. Like he didn't get a lot of improv into this movie.
I could see that. It doesn't seem like very improv forward.
But like watching the kids like react to him doing that.
So that was real time reacting.
I think so, yeah. You can see past like the character, like they're looking at somebody that they admire very much as well as a person. They call them the poets, like in the book that I read. They all got like really close offset because they were hanging out all the time. And they were like, we all expected Robin to be like crazy, but he was like so chill and like cool. The whole speech that he ended with like, what will your verse be? Really, that hit me. He's just so engaging. Like, is it really?
That was my first tattoo.
I didn't know that.
It says, what will your verse be?
Oh, that's so cool.
And it's because of that speech.
I did not know that.
Low-key
Dude.
thought that's why you asked me to be on this.
Now I'm extra glad that I did. That's awesome. I just have in my notes, this movie reminds me how much I hate that I had to take Latin.
Oof. Okay, but yeah, that early montage, sort of at like the beginning of the school year
Yes.
of all the classes, and of course they have to make all the classes seem awful. So then when they get to Mr. Keating's class, they're like, this is different. This is cool.
Maybe Latin is just a private Christian school thing here in Tennessee. I kind of wished Robin was in it like a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm ultimately, I guess the movie's not about him. Like,
Well, and see, that's why when you told me when they were arguing about movie titles, I feel like The Incredible Mr. Keating as a title, like it just didn't quite fit. Because again,
it doesn't.
the movie's not about him, it's about the boys.
Yeah. The ending of this is probably the most iconic bit. There's a lot of iconic bits. I was surprised at how much of this movie I had seen in
Just online.
clips before. Yeah. Obviously the ending is the scene where he's heading out after he's been fired and everybody stands on the desk and says, "Oh, Captain, my captain." I cried. I have to say. The Robin Williams formula has these moments at the end like that where it like everybody kind of stands up to show how much he's impacted them. Some movies have moments like that really work. Some of them don't. I think this one is really sappy, but it has enough build up and enough behind it that it works and it pays off well.
Yeah.
I just wish that there was like one more scene after so we got like a more solid resolution.
Yeah, it's like we didn't really get any closure.
We really didn't. I wanted to know if they were gonna like get in trouble and then I'll be like, but hey, we'll always be dead poets, and then it would end. Like even just something like that.
And also just like us as the audience, we're like, well, they're just gonna have this crappy English class now. Like,
Yeah.
Nolan's making them start over. I was like, I would hate that so much.
Also, I noticed that Cameron didn't stand on his desk.
He didn't.
Fucking
He
narc. Fucking narc. Charlie punched him. I was like, yes!
Yeah, I was like, he deserved that punch in the face.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, this movie is very impactful because you have a tattoo of it. Robin died really, really early into our freshman year.
Yes, the beginning of our freshman year.
Yeah, because I remember exactly where I was. The morning after it happened, a bunch of us were in Collins for like some orientation morning bullshit. And they had already prepared this and the timing was crazy. They pulled up a clip from Dead Poet Society to show us.
Wait, I think I remember this. And I was like,
and the whole, like literally everybody in there was like,
because I remember that.
24 hours later, he had just died. And I was like, holy shit, like everybody in here felt that. It hit me, obviously, because I'm doing this whole series like 6-7 years later. I just remember that moment and being like, wow, this is truly the type of person, like we will never have this type of person again. With it being like a coming of age movie, you have that as well, but then like this is the kind of teacher that like either we had this teacher or we wish we had this teacher.
This teacher, yeah. Was the ending scene the only one that got you to cry?
Fully tears, yes. Stuff with Neil was very touching and sad, just because I'm an actor also, but
I'm just very much a sympathetic crier. And so anytime there's like wailing or crying on screen, I'm like, what really gets me is when all the boys are out running through the snow in their pajamas.
That
and
hurted.
Then Todd breaks down.
Especially because that's like the only time you see him do that.
Yeah, like
Todd, really have a reaction like that.
Yeah. Todd has been so subdued in like the whole movie, and it's like with Neil's absence, he like
I did tear up when Mr. Keating opened his desk and found his book in there. Especially just because like the scenes between them were so good.
No, it's one of my favorites. I'm glad Becca gave me an excuse to rewatch it right now.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Becca. This was a lot of fun.
Awards, nominations, and press. If you don't already know, this was Robin's second Oscar nomination. He was also nominated for a Golden Globe. He did not win either. Daniel Day-Lewis won the Oscar that year for My Left Foot. I didn't even know that was a real movie until like 2 years ago. I thought it was a Family Guy joke. So, I can't really speak to whether or not he should have won the Oscar for that. Initial reviews of the film were respectful, but called it kind of dim and sad. Robin's performance was always praised. A critic from the LA Times said that Robin Williams may be the most exciting performer in American movies, perhaps less for what he does than for what the audience knows he can do. Roger Ebert gave it 2 stars. He said he wanted to throw up at the end, which I get it. Dead Poets Society became one of the highest grossing films of 1989. It was Disney's second highest grossing film that year after Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Robin also received a personal note from Fred Rogers after he saw the movie telling him how much it impacted him. And his daughter Zelda was born right after its release, so 1989 and 1990 were good, positive, wholesome years for Robin Williams. If you have not already seen Dead Poets Society, I definitely recommend it, especially for Robin Williams people, but really just for anyone in general. It's just a good movie. It's a good movie. It is available on Prime and Hulu. If you're subscribed to those, you can stream them for free. Next week, we are getting right back into shitty Robin Williams comedy with the 1990 flick Cadillac Man, where he sells used cars or something. Guess what, babies? We made it out of the 80s. Here's to, less racist jokes in the movies in the future. Until next time, seize the day, babies. Carpe diem. Ew!